you for the opportunity to present my work, though unfortunately I was not able to attend physically due to some issues with travel. Nevertheless, hope you enjoy my presentation. So um, in this presentation is part of the Doctoral Forum, and the person presenting to you is Matovu here, who is a Future Earth Fellow as well as a doctoral researcher at Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham. So the topic I'm talking about today is empowering women in the blue economy for ocean sustainability in the global south. In other words, I'm trying to show how we can position women as stewards in the blue economy. So I have 8 key issues to talk about, which I call the presentation combo, and hope you enjoy the combo. So in this work, as part of my doctoral research, we have to create outputs or outcomes, and the first one is scholarly, where I've contributed 20 plus papers on this topic. Then the second one is policy, where I've developed 5 pathways, roadmaps and frameworks for women empowerment in the blue economy. And the third is coastal communities outcomes, which are 4, and the main one is to see how we can promote sustainable seafood market analysis that are inclusive, as well as a women-led blue foods value chain app. So some of the works I've published are here in top journals like Ocean and Coastal Management, and all of them are open access. So before giving you what the blue economy means, we have to look back what was there before. So when you look back at the development history of the world, you find that there has been a history of struggles, especially in the global south, and this is seen in figure 1, where you see that before colonization and the industrial revolution, societies were more or less the same, but later on there is a development gap that we see. So in this development trajectory, we find that global south countries, they are trapped in unfair histories, and because of this they mostly depend on official development assistance. For example, in 2023 we find that 258 billion was extended as ODA, but as history proves, this ODA cannot solve most of the challenges these countries face. So the question is, where is the solution? Maybe you can guess. So the guess is simple. The answer is the blue economy. So since 2012, the blue economy has emerged as something novel to promote ocean sustainable development, and this novelty is proved by literature, where you see that trending topics and research in the ocean domain and policy is mainly on blue economy. And when you look at the top authors and institutions, they also focus on promoting the blue economy. So the question is, what and why the interest in blue economy is increasing? There are many reasons, but one thing is the blue economy is more than an ocean economy, because it looks at 5 key ocean sustainable development pillars, and it's a drive of the ocean decade. So it's also emphasizing global health stewardship and the empowerment of vulnerable communities, and equity as well as sustainability, including collaborative governance of resources. So when we talk of the blue economy, we don't mean fishing alone, but we talk of 3 classes and 13 subsectors as seen in figure 3. So when you look at the economic value of the blue economy, is awesome. For example, ocean goods and services are valued at 6 to 15 trillion, and this is expected to rise to 22 trillion by 2050 if we promote women's empowerment and equity. And the comparative benefits are in the global south, as we can see in this slide. When you look at, for example, tourism employment is mainly in global south countries, which are marked in black. Then also when you look at fisheries, the largest employment segment in regions like Asia and Africa. A similar indicator is realized when you look at marine transport, where the most container traffic and seaborne trade is in tropical seas, as well as in mineral ore extraction and trade flows. Most of the minerals are sourced from global south countries. but reaping these benefits will depend on how well previous gaps are bridged. But as literature shows, we are seeing several gaps, and some of these gaps are seen in literature where they focus, most research focuses on marine science rather than social science. And also when you look at thematic evolution of themes, most of the themes are shifting to regional issues rather than specific gender empowerment issues. So from that, researchers have conceptualized how we can shift to women's empowerment. So one thing is we have to redefine and define women empowerment in the context of the blue economy. Then we have also to profile coastal ecologies like vulnerability and viability transitions. We have to highlight gaps and also leverage transdisciplinary research. Then from that we can do participatory co-design. From that we can do scalable interventions. So this one defined my objectives, where I look at one, knowing the blue economy, then looking at level of women's participation, then challenges they face, then interventions which are there, then also strategic pathways that can be developed, and co-designing of sustainable interventions that can help community. So the research approach I realized I used to do this is both literature review and field exploratory research. So I've reviewed over 15,000 papers on the blue economy and women's empowerment. Then in the field I did transact walks like in 2022. Then I did also focus group discussions. Then I did coastal community interviews and prioritization of the key interventions. So from this we are trying to look at where can women be engaged and how. So let's see the results. So from the results we are seeing varying results, but before that let me give you a context of the area I've been working in to generate the findings. It's called Alapad in Kerala. So this is found along the Arabian Sea in India, and it has been historically a fishing village, but natural resource complexities are increasing and people are shifting to alternative livelihoods. So when you look at also whether women empowerment is defined, we find that there are different perspectives, and these perspectives do not clearly contextualize women empowerment. So if we are to kickstart women empowerment in the blue economy, we have to look at all ocean-based activities where women are engaged to improve their livelihoods. But another critical finding we saw was the demographic indicators in the community. You find that the total working population in coastal communities like Alapad is mainly dominated by men, and also when you look at specific populations like in fishing, most of the men are there, and safeguards like insurance are low for women. Then marginal workers are mainly women, and even though they are there, we find that they earn less than 5,000 rupees per month, which is like less than $100. So this is worrying, but we have to know where are women engaged and why they earn like that. So there are diverse activities, and from the field we realize that most of the women are into fish selling, tailoring, fish collection, small scale businesses. And even though these are minor jobs, there is an increased willingness of the community to engage women in these aspects for livelihood. So when we engage with women further to probe how we can involve them and where, they talked of 3 priority activities like fish, masala and pickle making, skills development and businesses. But they preferred stitching. But if you look at stitching alone, it means they might shift from priority blue economy sectors, and thus we have to look at something that brings them back. So women advocated for alternative jobs. So one of the challenges that limit them from engaging in some of these alternative blue economy jobs are human environmental challenges, especially social marginalization, and also they talked of economic struggles. but these challenges vary, especially if you go down to the community level. So at the community level, there are various observations that show risk indicators like catches declining, socio-ecological drift, then waves, as well as invasive vegetation. But then women told us that three key problems are being faced, especially road problem, seasonal jobs, and infrastructure. So from this, we realize that vulnerability concerns review the urgency for women empowerment pathways. So because of that, I try to kickstart new avenues on how we can develop sustainable pathways. The first thing is to recognize that all these challenges are interconnected and they affect systems if we don't reverse them. So the first contribution I did was to develop a pathway that can change this. So we engage women and they say that the first thing is there are 10 steps that can help us know this. And in the figure on the right, they gave desired future aspirations that can help us achieve that. The second pathway we developed was how can this bring in new narratives of change. So they say that to do this, the core need is to have phased assessments that can create transformative actions, and if we know transformative actions, we can co-design sustainable solutions. So the main takeaway here is that even though women empowerment issues are complex, they need phased approaches, and if we do this, we can capture narratives that can bring in feasible interventions. So after that, I try to design the intervention that can help in this. So because women talked of mostly fishing, I tried to look into literature to see what are the key issues around fisheries value chain. So I looked at value chain components, target species, then key actors, aspects like challenges they face, then recommended strategies. Then after this, I mapped it into the triple layered business model canvas, which has the economic domain, it has also the social canvas and the economic environmental canvas. Then the overall aim is to see what women phases or levels can they be in, and what are the targeted services that can help promote them and empower them in this sector. So what I did after that was to look at the nature of value chains in the context of Kerala, and the main thing is it's linear, and because of that linear nature, it has unsustainability issues including food waste. So then I tried to look at how are these value chain processes phased and what activities are there. So I realized that there are many value chain activities, mostly primary, then we have secondary, then after secondary we have different activities which are all interconnected, like value fish value chain, value addition, we have input manufacturers, then we have services like packing or packaging but most of these are interrelated under the secondary value chain. But one new aspect is emerging, which is the tertiary value chain, which looks at sustainability practices including certification, and all these sustainability practices are aiming at bringing out positive inclusive indicators for women. And even though it's like that, we find that some of the activities do not follow the same process, which might affect inclusion. But the main aim is all of these activities target final consumers. So they target final consumers. So the next aspect I did was to look at where can then women be positioned after knowing that. So throughout the value chain we can position women, but the main areas where they can be positioned can be in primary fishes, then also landed activities like fish net hauling, then fish marketing, then value chain addition, packaging, as well as sustainability. So, and women can be key in getting customers. So this is what we are trying to see, how they can get customers. So from that we can pick some few reflections. For example, one thing is the blue economy is something novel, but it's very complex. And when this complexity is because in most of the key sectors like fishing, men still dominate. But there is something that's coming up, like women have the knowledge that can be tapped, and to tap this, it will depend on how effectively the perspectives of women are embedded into policy and research. So as seen in Alapad, the women have critical knowledge that can help promote this, and the existing infrastructure in these communities can be key in bringing out this one. So in the short run, we can leverage the knowledge of women, especially where they have potential, and in the long run we can look at other related activities of the blue economy, which can promote holistic empowerment. So these are some of the references I used. A big thank you to all the funders and sponsors, and thank you very much.